The Federal and Chettinadu Public School jointly present Run for Health Karegudi Marathon 2025 on March 2. This event is co-presented by Global Mission Hospital and Research Institute, powered by Repco Home Finance, associate sponsor Sethu Bhaskara College.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Federal's Worldly Wise, a weekly program in which we pick out a trending issue in international politics in an attempt to deconstruct it. Strange as it may sound, United States President Donald Trump has been compared to former Russian President Boris Yeltsin, two individuals leading two rival nations at two different points of time in history, at least 3 decades apart. Yeltsin, who presided over the completion of dismantling the Soviet Union, a process started by his predecessor, Mikhail Gorbachev, he was the first post-Soviet president of an independent Russian nation. Boris Yeltsin. In the manner in which Trump is merrily dismantling the US's federal institutions, including the Department of Justice, among others, Yeltsin in the 1990s neutralized the extensive bureaucracy and the elite establishment in Russia. After Trump won his first term, Andrei Korotko, a Russian-born American academic, was quoted by Bloomberg as saying that both men were establishment figures who turned against the ruling elite while managing to sell this turnaround to voters. Both protested against the specific forms of political correctness that dominated their country's public discourse. In both cases, the establishment fought back angrily. Yeltsin surrounded himself with his relatives and close friends and business associates, all of whom were called the family in quotes, who were given full powers to make policy and govern, just like Trump did in the first term, and now increasingly so in his second term. The Yeltsin period saw the rise of the Russian oligarchy, just like what is happening in Trump's America today. In Yeltsin's Russia, power was reportedly concentrated in the hands of 7 bankers who benefited vastly through privatization. In Trump's second term, the most high-profile businessman is, you guessed it, Elon Musk, with enormous powers at the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, besides others waiting on the sidelines. Under Yeltsin, industrialists turned cronies benefited from tax largesse and other financial benefits. Some joined government and extracted maximum benefits. Fake news thrived with the sole aim of promoting the Yeltsin administration, while the media lay supine, unwilling to challenge the government. Trump is no different, except that he and his cronies, including in the media, are even more brazen in the fake and distorted narratives they regularly dish out. Trump's presidential debate claimed that immigrants were eating pets is just the tip of a massive iceberg. The manner of Boris Yeltsin's rule shook Russia's allies. This is now being experienced by America's allies in Europe and elsewhere. Heavyweight nations like Germany are reeling under the full force of what it means to have Trump as US president. The other day, French President Macron was forced to intervene and contradict Trump at a joint media briefing on the issue of funding the Ukraine war. The recent brazen interference by Trump's deputy, J.D. Vance, in expressing his preference for the far-right AfD on the eve of general elections shocked mainstream German political parties. Obviously, we're not making a point-to-point comparison between the two, but the broad similarities are striking, except for one difference. Yeltsin was given to excessive drinking and sometimes appeared in public drunk. Trump, on the other hand, is reportedly a teetotaler. This is, of course, overshadowed by their uncanny similarities. Both have been marked for their chumminess in relations between Washington and Moscow. The US, under Trump, has had particularly close ties to Russia. Yeltsin, too, as president, had developed a close relationship with the US, then under Bill Clinton. In the first term, Trump came in for scrutiny over the alleged Russian interference in US elections that helped him win in 2016. Though there were denials from Trump's camp, the issue has never really been fully explained nor investigated. Among the ways in which Russia purportedly interfered was through social media and via internet communications that sought to influence the way in which Americans voted. As an article in 2020 in the Washington Post remarked, in the context of foreign interference, Yeltsin had sought help from a foreign leader, that is Bill Clinton, whose objective was to develop Russian democracy, while Trump has allegedly solicited campaign assistance from authoritarian regimes that aim to undermine American democracy. In 1995, when Yeltsin was up for re-election as president and his approval ratings were low, he requested the then US President, Bill Clinton, to postpone the issue of expanding NATO membership to accommodate former Soviet states. That would help Yeltsin in his poll campaign. Clinton agreed and quietly put NATO expansion in cold freeze for over a year. Yeltsin was facing a financial crunch and wanted funds for his campaign. He again asked Clinton to help him out. The US president reportedly obliged him, using his influence and asking the International Monetary Fund to do the needful. And needless to add, Yeltsin won that election. Now, in his second term, Trump, within a month of his takeover, has made it amply clear he is siding with Russia and wants Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine to cooperate. Trump has categorically ruled out the possibility of Ukraine being admitted into NATO, the one issue on which Russia invaded Ukraine. And from the looks of it, a peace deal to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict will favor Putin rather than Zelensky. Yeltsin effectively dismantled the Soviet structure and the extensive bureaucracy within Russia and handed it over to a select group of oligarchs, which ended up sabotaging the emergence of a Western-style electoral democracy that many ordinary Russians were hoping for. Trump, in his first term in office, after getting elected the second time, has moved fast to similarly dismantle America's institutions, dismissing thousands of federal employees and threatening the sacking of many more. The jury is out on how this will eventually impact the US. After all, Trump has a full 4-year term to do whatever he is up to, and he has completed just 5 weeks. After a decade in power, Yeltsin handed over power to his close associate, a former KGB agent and the then Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin. And we have seen since Russia turning into a totalitarian state. Anything even remotely resembling this for the US is a scary prospect given its influence over the rest of the world.
The Federal and Chettinadu Public School jointly present Run for Health Karegudi Marathon 2025 on March 2. This event is co-presented by Global Mission Hospital and Research Institute, powered by Repco Home Finance, associate sponsor Sedhu Bhaskara College.